The Black Dahlia murder, January 15, 1947. A Wednesday morning in Los Angeles. A mother and her young daughter were walking down a quiet residential street in Leimert Park. Norton Avenue. Tree-lined. Peaceful. Nothing unusual. Until the mother saw something in a vacant lot. At first, she thought it was a broken mannequin. Pale. Motionless. Cut in half. But as she looked closer, the horror became real. It wasn't a mannequin. It was the body of a young woman, positioned carefully on the grass. Drained of blood, severed at the waist. Her arms raised above her head, her legs spread apart. The mutilation was beyond anything investigators had ever seen. Her mouth had been cut from ear to ear into a grotesque smile. Her face showed signs of brutal trauma. But what disturbed detectives the most was how clean everything was. No blood at the scene. No signs of a struggle. No evidence left behind. Whoever did this had taken their time. They had washed the body, posed it, and placed it there for the world to see. Within hours, reporters flooded the crime scene. Photographers captured every angle. The story exploded across the front pages. The victim was a 22-year-old woman with jet black hair and pale skin. Her name was Elizabeth Short, but the press would give her a different name. A name that would haunt Los Angeles forever. The Black Dahlia. This is the story of one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. A case filled with lies, obsession, and a killer who was never caught. And it all began with a dream that turned into a nightmare. Elizabeth Short was born on July 29, 1924, in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. She grew up during the Great Depression. Her childhood was marked by hardship and instability. When Elizabeth was just 5 years old, her father abandoned the family. He left his car on a bridge near Boston and vanished. Everyone assumed he was dead. But years later, Elizabeth discovered he was alive and living in California. As a teenager, Elizabeth struggled with severe asthma and chronic bronchitis. Doctors told her the cold New England winters were making her sick. She needed a warmer climate. So in 1943, at 19 years old, Elizabeth moved to California to live with her father. It didn't last long. They fought constantly. Within months, he kicked her out. Elizabeth was alone in California with nowhere to go and very little money. But she had something else. Something that made people stop and stare. She was striking. Pale porcelain skin, dark hair, big blue eyes. She dressed in all black because it made her feel elegant, mysterious, glamorous. Friends said she dreamed of becoming an actress. She wanted to be discovered, to see her name in lights, to escape the poverty and pain of her past. Elizabeth moved between Los Angeles, San Diego, and Santa Barbara. She worked odd jobs, stayed with friends, dated servicemen returning from World War II. Some people described her as sweet and shy. Others said she was troubled, lost, searching for something she could never quite find. By January 1947, Elizabeth Short was 22 years old. She had been in California for years, but her big break had never come, and time was running out. Elizabeth Short lived in the shadows of Hollywood's golden age. This was 1940s Los Angeles, the era of movie studios, starlets, and impossible dreams. Thousands of young women arrived every year hoping to be discovered. Most of them never were. Elizabeth was one of them. She spent her days moving between cheap apartments and boarding houses. She rarely had steady work. Friends said she would sometimes stay with men she barely knew just to have a place to sleep. But Elizabeth always carried herself with dignity. She dressed carefully, always in black. Black dresses, black shoes, dark lipstick. Her appearance became her signature. Some people called her the Black Dahlia while she was still alive, inspired by a popular film noir movie called The Blue Dahlia that had just been released. Elizabeth liked the nickname. It made her feel special, mysterious. But beneath the glamorous surface, Elizabeth was struggling. She had no money, no stable home, no real career prospects. She wrote letters to her mother back in Massachusetts, always painting a picture of success and excitement. But the truth was much darker. By early January 1947, Elizabeth was desperate. She had been staying with friends in San Diego, but tensions were growing. She needed to leave. She needed a new plan. On January 9, 1947, Elizabeth traveled back to Los Angeles. She told friends she was meeting someone who might be able to help her. She checked her luggage at the Greyhound bus station and headed to the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. It was one of the most elegant hotels in the city, and it was the last place Elizabeth Short was ever seen alive. January 8, 1947. 2 days before Elizabeth disappeared. She was staying with a friend named Dorothy French in San Diego. Dorothy's mother had taken Elizabeth in, offering her a place to stay while she figured out her next move. But the arrangement was coming to an end. Elizabeth received a phone call. She told Dorothy she needed to go back to Los Angeles. She said she was going to meet someone. She didn't say who. On the morning of January 9th, Dorothy and her mother drove Elizabeth to the Greyhound bus station in downtown San Diego. Before Elizabeth left, she checked 6 pieces of luggage at the station. Suitcases filled with clothes, personal belongings, and letters. She planned to pick them up later. She never did. Elizabeth boarded a bus headed north to Los Angeles. The ride took about 2.5 hours. She arrived in Los Angeles around 5 p.m. From the bus station, Elizabeth made her way to the Biltmore Hotel. It was a short distance away. The Biltmore was famous, a landmark, the kind of place where movie stars and wealthy businessmen stayed. Why was Elizabeth going there? She had no money for a room. She wasn't meeting anyone she knew well, according to what little investigators could piece together later. Witnesses reported seeing a young woman matching Elizabeth's description in the hotel lobby that evening. She was sitting near the phone booths, waiting. She seemed calm, patient, like she was expecting someone. And then, sometime after 7 p.m., Elizabeth Short walked out of the Biltmore Hotel. She was never seen alive again. The Biltmore Hotel stands at 506 South Grand Avenue in downtown Los Angeles. In 1947, it was the crown jewel of the city. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, a place where deals were made and secrets were kept. Elizabeth Short walked into that hotel on the evening of January 9th. But who was she meeting? Investigators would spend months trying to answer that question. They interviewed hotel staff. They checked guest registries. They followed up on every possible lead. No one could say for certain. Some witnesses remembered seeing a young woman in black near the lobby payphones. She seemed to be waiting for a call, or maybe waiting for someone to arrive. Others recalled seeing her talking to a man, but descriptions were vague, unreliable, conflicting. One thing was clear. Elizabeth left the hotel sometime after 7 p.m. Did she leave alone? Did someone pick her up? Was she forced to leave? No one knows. What happened in the next 6 days remains one of the greatest mysteries in the case. Because Elizabeth Short simply vanished. Her family didn't hear from her. Her friends had no idea where she was. No one reported seeing her anywhere in Los Angeles. For 6 full days, Elizabeth Short was somewhere, with someone. And during those 6 days, something unspeakable happened. Investigators believe she was held captive, tortured. The level of mutilation on her body suggested the killer had spent hours with her, maybe even days. But where? And with who? On January 15, 1947, 6 days after she disappeared, Elizabeth's body was found in that vacant lot, and the search for answers had only just begun. Between January 9th and January 15th, Elizabeth Short disappeared completely. No sightings, no phone calls, no trace. For 6 days she was somewhere, held by someone, and during that time she endured unimaginable horror. The autopsy revealed devastating details. Elizabeth had been tortured. Her body showed signs of severe trauma inflicted over an extended period. Investigators believed she had been alive for at least some of the abuse. The cause of death was determined to be hemorrhage and shock due to blows to the head and lacerations to the face. But the mutilation happened after she died. The killer had drained her body of blood, severed her at the waist, cleaned her thoroughly with water and possibly gasoline, then carefully posed her in that vacant lot. The precision was chilling. This wasn't a crime of passion. This wasn't random violence. This was calculated, methodical, controlled. Whoever did this had time, privacy, a location where they could work undisturbed for hours, and they knew exactly what they were doing. Some investigators believed the killer had medical knowledge. The cuts were too clean, too precise. The body had been bisected with disturbing accuracy. Others thought the killer might have worked in a morgue or had experience handling dead bodies. But here's what haunted detectives the most. The killer wanted the body to be found. They placed it in a residential area, in broad daylight, where someone would discover it quickly. This wasn't about hiding a crime. This was about displaying it. The killer wanted attention. They wanted shock. They wanted the world to see what they had done. And the world was watching. The Black Dahlia case became a sensation overnight. Newspapers across the country ran the story on their front pages. The Los Angeles Examiner and the Herald Express competed fiercely for coverage. They published graphic crime scene photos. They interviewed anyone connected to Elizabeth. The press even gave her the name Black Dahlia to sell more papers. The media attention was relentless, and it made the investigation nearly impossible. The Los Angeles Police Department received hundreds of tips every day. People called claiming they saw Elizabeth. Others confessed to the murder. Some just wanted attention. Detectives followed every lead. They interviewed over 150 people in the first few weeks alone. They tracked down Elizabeth's movements in the months before her death. They spoke to ex-boyfriends, friends, roommates, and acquaintances. But the more they investigated, the more complicated the picture became. Elizabeth had lived a transient life. She moved frequently. She stayed with different people. She had relationships with multiple men. One man became an early focus, Robert "Red" Manley. Red was a 25-year-old salesman from Huntington Park. He admitted to giving Elizabeth a ride from San Diego to Los Angeles on January 9th. He said he dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel that evening. He claimed that was the last time he saw her. Police questioned him extensively. They gave him a polygraph test. He passed. But some investigators never fully believed him. Then, on January 24th, something strange happened. A package arrived at the Los Angeles Examiner newspaper office. Inside were some of Elizabeth's belongings. Her address book, her birth certificate, photos. The items had been cleaned with gasoline, just like her body. And there was a note, cut from newspaper letters. It read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." The letter never came. Over the years, more than 60 people confessed to killing Elizabeth Short. Most were mentally unstable. Some were seeking attention. Others were coerced by police using aggressive interrogation tactics common at the time. None of the confessions held up. But there were suspects who seemed more credible. Men with dark histories. Men who knew Elizabeth. Men who fit the profile. One suspect was Dr. George Hodel. Hodel was a wealthy physician who lived in a distinctive mansion in the Hollywood Hills. Years after the murder, his own son, former LAPD detective Steve Hodel, accused his father of being the Black Dahlia killer. Steve claimed his father had the medical knowledge, the private location, and the psychological profile of the murderer. He pointed to evidence that police had surveilled George Hodel in 1950, even bugging his home. In one recording, George allegedly made disturbing statements that could be interpreted as admissions of guilt. But nothing was ever proven. George Hodel was never charged. Another name that surfaced was Leslie Dillon. Dillon was a bellhop and aspiring crime writer who had sent letters to a psychiatrist discussing the Black Dahlia case in suspicious detail. He knew things about the crime scene that hadn't been made public. Police brought him in for questioning. He led them to a friend named Jeff Connors, claiming Connors was the real killer. But Connors didn't exist. Investigators believed Dillon invented him. Dylan was held for months but eventually released due to lack of evidence. Some believe he was involved. Others think he was just obsessed with the case. Then there were dozens of other names. Transients, servicemen, men Elizabeth had dated or stayed with. Each lead went nowhere. Each theory collapsed under scrutiny. The investigation dragged on for years, but the case grew cold, and Elizabeth Short's killer was never found. Decades later, the Black Dahlia case remains unsolved, but the theories never stopped. Some believe the killer was a doctor or someone with surgical training. The precision of the cuts, the way the body was drained and cleaned, it all suggested medical knowledge. Others think the killer was a mortician, someone who worked with dead bodies and understood how to preserve and position them. Then there's the theory that Elizabeth knew her killer, that she went willingly with this person on January 9, that she trusted them. This would explain why there was no sign of struggle at the Biltmore, why no one saw her being forced into a car. But if she knew the killer, why didn't investigators find them? Another disturbing theory suggests the murder was connected to organized crime or Hollywood elites. Some researchers believe Elizabeth may have been at the wrong place at the wrong time, that she witnessed something she shouldn't have. There were also whispers about illegal abortion clinics. Some speculated Elizabeth had been pregnant and sought help from an underground doctor. When something went wrong, they killed her to cover it up. But no evidence ever supported this theory. What's most chilling is how meticulous the killer was. They left almost no physical evidence. No fingerprints. No witnesses who could identify them.
No murderweapon.
No crime scene where the torture and mutilation took place. This person was careful, intelligent, patient, and they got away with it. Some detectives who worked the case believe the killer may have struck before, that Elizabeth wasn't the first victim, that somewhere in Los Angeles there were other bodies, other women who disappeared and were never found, but no connections were ever made. The Black Dahlia murder remains one of the most brutal and baffling unsolved cases in American history. And the truth died with whoever took Elizabeth Short's life. More than 75 years have passed since Elizabeth Short was murdered. The detectives who worked the case are gone. The witnesses have passed away. The physical evidence has been lost or destroyed over time. But the mystery lives on. Elizabeth Short's story has been told in books, documentaries, movies, and podcasts. She has become a tragic icon, a symbol of Hollywood's dark side, a reminder that dreams can turn into nightmares. But behind the legend was a real person, a 22-year-old woman who wanted to be loved, who wanted to be seen, who wanted a better life than the one she was born into. She deserved better than what happened to her. She deserved justice. The case officially remains open with the Los Angeles Police Department, though no active investigation is ongoing. If you have any information, you can still contact LAPD's Cold Case Unit. But realistically, the killer is almost certainly dead by now. Whoever murdered Elizabeth Short likely lived the rest of their life knowing they got away with it. They watched the media frenzy. They saw the investigations come and go. They carried that secret to their grave. And they left behind only questions. Why Elizabeth? Why that level of brutality? Why display her body so publicly? What happened during those 6 missing days? We may never know. The Black Dahlia case will forever remain one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in true crime history. Elizabeth Short's life was stolen from her on a cold January night in 1947. But her story will never be forgotten.